A person's skin is made up of thousands of minuscule details. There are pores, tiny hairs, veins, and wrinkles. Then there's different skin tones, hair colors, hair textures, and all the bigger features to account for. Jessie Lane is an expert at taking a microscope to all those details and recreating them using just colored pencils. To make a photorealistic drawing requires an actual photo. Jessie doesn't just find an existing photo and recreate it. He'll put together a whole shoot to get the exact image he wants to draw. The first step is a rough sketch. Then he has a model remake that sketch and snaps a photo of them. After a little manipulation, he's got an image he can work off of. From there, he'll get comfortable in his studio, ready for the weeks of shading, blending, and coloring. You'd expect the hardest part of his technique would be the tiny, intricate details in the hands, face, eyebrows, hair, or the wrinkles on the lips and eyelids. But Jessie says colored pencils are actually the perfect tool for stuff like that. The fine point on a colored pencil lets him create precise strokes and variations in things like wrinkles. Press harder, and the wrinkles or hairs are thicker and more prominent. Lighter, and they're fainter. Sometimes when the line isn't thin enough, he'll also go in with the point of an X-Acto knife and scratch off some of the color to get even thinner lines and highlights.
I love creating skin tone and characteristics of the skin tone, like wrinkles and pores, for example, because it's one thing on the surface. It's a portrait, but there's so much that goes on. I like drawing something that it has thousands of little details to it, literally thousands, but when you step back from it, they all assemble and become one thing. You also get these interesting textures here, just on the wrinkles and his fingerprints on the side of his finger here, and then these thicker wrinkles out here. There's so much that happens just within the nose and the fingers, for example, on this portrait.
But again, those tiny details aren't the hard part. It's actually coloring in the larger areas that really test Jessie's skill. If it's going to look real, you can't show a single stroke mark.
A square inch actually feels like a fairly large space for a colored pencil because you work with that very fine point. You have to go over everything, and I like that about it. It forces you to look at everything in a piece, and you can't ignore anything.
Jessie is able to see what most of us gloss over when we look at our own skin. It's not just one shade, which means he can't use just one pencil. In a given skin tone, there might be yellows, purples, pinks, and more. Without accounting for all of these less obvious colors, his pieces wouldn't look as real.
Just within here, it would appear one color at a distance, but when you get up close to it, there's purples and pinks and yellows in there.
Seamlessly blending them requires a delicate and consistent amount of pressure on the pencil. He'll work in very light layers of color that gradually build up to the full image. Working in light layers ensures that he'll get that smooth, photorealistic look and avoids the look of a typical colored pencil sketch. The need for precision forces Jessie to do things slowly and hone in on every little detail. It can take him up to 7 months to complete a piece. Once the hours of blending colors and shading are seamlessly completed, Jessie will work on dotting of pores, light strokes to create hairs, and drawing in each wrinkle and fold. His pieces are so detailed, they look just like photographs. So much so that some people don't believe they're not photos.